Well, greetings everyone. Those were such insightful panels and fireside chats. I've really learned a lot. And my name is Linke Tao. As Chris has introduced me, I am the communications director for GatherVerse. And we're very, very happy to have this powerful panel here. And we are going to be discussing about leveraging spatial computing to advance humanitarian efforts. I am very curious to find out more. Well, I am going to ask my panelists to introduce themselves, and I will start with you, Patrick, passing it on to Vic and Oliver. Thank you. Yes, Patrick, you're still muted. Okay.
Yes, here we go. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. I'm the founder and CEO at Metasol. We're developing since 2010, I think 13 actually, emotion synthesis for AI, and this technology flow in the metaverse to create a very unique user experience.
Brilliant. Casey?
Hi, I'm Casey Jensen, and I currently have a consulting company, KCJ Consulting. I spent the last 2 years at Room helping them. They created an amazing platform to be able to democratize, building out these type of experiences. And the last 3 years, I sort of fell into AI and VR and AR, working on some really cool projects for everything from the government to brands. And it's just, I think, man, this is an exciting time, and I've never been more excited than the early days of the internet back in the mid 90s. I feel like this is an amazing time to be around. So thanks for having me.
Wow, totally agree. Alan?
Yes, hi, my name is Alan. I'm the founder of Studio Bahia. We created a product for refugees, specifically the mental health crisis in refugees. So we just had a soft opening this week. This is our product. We manufacture it. And it comes a VR headset inside a little lunch case, by the way. Anyway, it's for sale at $25, and for each sale, we donate one to hospitals, foster care, and refugee camps. Besides that, we do productions for everyone from IIT Hyderabad in India to MIT to Stanford. Trials kind of on the frontier of mental health and VR. Thank you for having me.
Wow, brilliant. Congratulations for the launch. Vic?
Hi everyone. I'm Vikrant. I'm one of the founders here at Converse here. We've been working in the immersive tech space for the last 5 years. Started as a XR content studio ourselves. We have worked with over 200 brands across India whom we have helped launch spatial experiences for the first time. Have created over 200 million square feet of virtual 3D spaces ourselves in-house across these experiences. And over the last 2 years, I've been working on a more fundamental layer of being able to access spatial content, which is 3D content optimization. So we're building AI-based 3D content optimizer, which could let high-end 3D and immersive content run on standalone devices or simple smartphones to make it more inclusive and more accessible for the audience and people at large. Thank you.
Wow.
Nice to be here.
Thank you so much. Welcome all. And I ask your audience, please feel free to interact with our panelists. And we are going to get started. I will start with you, Patrick. Spatial computing has been doing the rounds, especially since the launch of Vision Pro. A lot has been said about spatial computing and all that, but we are here at GatherVerse, and we're just curious, how can spatial computing be leveraged and enhance resource allocation in emergency response? Please let us know.
So yes, I think I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to reply to that question. I mean, there's a lot of people working in education and who are using XR. I mean, one of the panelists was supposed to be here today to talk about that. I think that, I mean, XR is an incredible opportunity for education. Because we don't realize that very often kids are not in a positive environment for education. And to receive knowledge, you need to be in a state of mind that it's really open to receive it. And we think that actually XR could be an incredible opportunity to allow people to open their mind. We can prepare them and feel in a safe environment to open their mind and be receptive to knowledge. So I think there's a preparation, a mindset preparation to that. And I think XR is an incredible tool for this. And of course, through gaming and through a lot of different experience that doesn't feel like learning, I think kids could learn much faster. So I think it's an incredible opportunity. We still struggle with the device. I mean, we don't know if it is going to be more, augmented reality or we're going to be completely immersed in a different world. I just share here an interesting link from Stanford. They are working on new devices because I think the adoption will be, it's very difficult to imagine that you're going to have mass adoption with bulky headset. And this announcement from Stanford looks like it is a promising step where they actually project 3D holograms on the lenses. So actually the glasses will be actually very similar to the glasses that I have and will generate high resolution augmented reality application. So I think that all these things combining together could be an interesting step in the direction of teaching kids.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. And I see you, Alan, nodding. Would you like to add something on how spatial computing can enhance resource allocation in emergency response?
Yes, that's a great question. I think you can divide it into two sides. One thing is preparedness for disasters, and the second half is response to disasters. And so in the humanitarian context, preparing for disasters, there's very good examples of it in places like Japan, for example, where they have tsunamis. And so we have a lot of geospatial tools all over the world that can be used at this time to show people their escape routes, for example. So this is preparedness for things like a tsunami. Right now we have a lot of climate disasters. We had very rapid fires. I don't know if you remember the disaster in Hawaii last year. It was just a ferocious fire that killed thousands of people. We have those same fires in places in Canada. They're probably going to happen more in the US. And so how do you prepare escape routes for people? And using geospatial, and the Japanese used it in a way to show people, okay, this is how you get out of your house. You're in your house right now. You got to train your kids on how to get out. Put on a VR headset and basically a Google Street, and the kid learns the pathway up the hill, for example. So it's kind of a learning on how to prepare for disasters. That's a very useful tool. The sadness of that perspective is that because here in the US, we only look at things whether they're commercially viable in the startup industry, people don't see this as a wealth maker. People are kind of looking for the lottery ticket in startups. And so you look at it through a certain collaborative approach between local government and technologists. And that's how you prepare. That's the preparedness side. There's a lot of tools you can use in geospatial and also in spatial computing to train people. On the response side, you want a fast response. You basically have something called PTSD. PTSD takes 1 month to 6 months to settle into your body. So you go through a traumatic event, a disaster. It'll take 1 to 6 months. What you want is treatment in the peri-traumatic stage, which is within that first month, right? First month, you might be able to try different things that prevents PTSD from entering your body. Once PTSD is in your body, it's like a virus that stays in your body for life. There's no cure for PTSD. It stays, you have to mitigate it, manage it. But if you can get it in the peri-traumatic stage of a disaster in a humanitarian sense, you have the potential of preventing PTSD, which is deeply damaging to people. So there's two parts, the response side, preparedness. The second one is the response side of the disaster, of course.
Oh, thank you. That is a wonderful remark. And maybe to follow up on the preparedness side of things, I want to go to you, Casey. What role could spatial computing play in creating more livable urban environments so that we may stay prepared even for natural catastrophic disasters that we're not even ready for?
Yeah, I think one great thing, I think there's a great use case for this right now that makes total sense. Really using this to be able to understand urban environments, understand changes to urban environments before they ever happen, being able to really use detailed simulations and analysis for potential development to be able to visualize the infrastructure, the traffic patterns, the green spaces, the public amenities. I think all this stuff makes it so much easier. I mean, let's face it, whenever there's something done, when it comes to this type of stuff, it always takes a long time and it's way over budget. So I think this really allows to really put some things in place to sort of help get in front of that stuff and make sure it doesn't happen. And one area of that I think is that I saw recently that was really cool. There's a company called Pebble out of LA actually. And, they were using this to be able to, on the street, be able to have scan codes and different things where people could use their device to be able to actually see regular people walking down the street, to actually see some of these developments, to see a new park, to see new infrastructure, things like that, and actually give their comments on it, vote on it, give their comments on it. So, because what they found is a lot of the people the people out there are not coming to the city meetings, the city planning meetings, the same people over and over. So this is allowing for them to be able to access people, get more people involved, and be able to really get feedback and understanding of what they're planning to do, and if it's the right direction to be able to help their community.
Yeah, definitely. I think what I'm getting from you, Casey, this is also a multi-stakeholder approach where we need the public, we also need the government, and we also need the technologies to come together when it comes to building all this. And I'm also thinking of smart cities. I think spatial computing will be one of those technologies that will require a lot of building in smart cities. And I am going to go to you, Vic. What do you think are the long-term sustainable practices when it comes to spatial computing? How does it improve sustainability?
I think from a long-term planning point of view, definitely it's one thing where if you bring in a lot of geospatial data today and complement that with data captured through historically how the city has expanded, what are the different clusters in terms of waste generation, water management, traffic management, socioeconomic division. So with this information, you can actually build predictive 3D models around urban planning to sort of design a city where you can understand beforehand what are going to be my bottlenecks as I expand in terms of traffic, in terms of waste management, if there are going to be disease outbreaks, which are my most prone areas to such outbreaks. If there are going to be natural disasters, which are my areas which are most prone to such challenges. And also what you can do is, as the world gets more detailed capturing using high resolution satellite imagery, we'll also be able to learn from the mistakes other cities have made historically. We'll have so much data on other cities across the world to actually understand where everyone or anyone has gone wrong and what everyone has done best. So you can implement that into designing the cities of the future.
Definitely, I totally agree with that. I think, Alan, I see you noting you're very big on sustainability. I'm not sure if you want to add something on this, or if you want to.
I'm a nodder. I like to nod. But no, I think that it's wonderful, the insights Vikrant just shared, especially we have all those tools and all that data now. The question is, how do we implement it, integrate AI into it? And I think there'll be an explosion of solutions as far as the humanitarian field is concerned. And yes, city management, because that's where we have such a high concentration of the populace and the most vulnerable to disasters. And I think going forward, it's some of the predictive models with weather patterns. Because of global warming, we have like just a huge increase of disasters. Before I never had to look at the news for weather, but now you kind of have to. And predictive models now are predicting this summer 25 hurricanes in the US. So we average 14, right? And so all of those tools where AI can give you greater prediction and a greater probability just makes our city safer, our families, our community safer. And so it's a great time right now for this field.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. And now that you mentioned AI, I want to jump. I want to hear from you, Patrick, and I want you to bring all this together, where we bring health and innovative spatial computing. How do you see all these fields that are emerging, that is spatial computing, AI, coming together to improve the global health monitoring?
So, as I said, we're really specializing in persona and emotions. And I think everything will depend on how the user perceive this spatial computing. I mean, the user experience is key. And I think that you're not going to have one representation for all the users that will be exactly the same. I think with the work that we're doing, for example, we're able to clone your persona and your emotion sensitivity in the metaverse. With the metasoul, we allow then the metaverse to adapt to you. So you're not going to have a metaverse that is going to be the same for all the users that will represent the information that is in the real world. But this metaverse will adapt by understanding who you are, how you feel at the present time, and will create an experience that is adapted to you. So actually, the data and the information that you will receive are formatted in a way that match who you are. And I think this customization makes me think a little bit of what was Facebook. I mean, at the beginning, Facebook was, this timeline that was exactly the same for everybody. And then they realized that they were able to create a timeline that was unique for you. And I think probably the metaverse will not be one metaverse. It will be an infinite of metaverse that are related to an infinite of users. And they will be built dynamically for the user with the understanding of the user itself, with an emotional response from the metaverse itself from it. So it's going to be like a dialogue between the metaverse and the user. That's how I imagine the future of the metaverse. Whatever the spatial computing is this. I mean, you will represent the city that it's real, and you will be augmented with information that are matching who you are.
Definitely customized healthcare, personalized, and very very predictable. I think it can also help us tackle diseases that are totally new. Like, who knew COVID will be here? I mean, that was something that took the world by storm. So when I think about spatial computing, AI, and all the data and everything to do with healthcare, I think it's also an exciting time when all these emerging technologies come together and we can discover more and we can tackle more health problems. Maybe let's go to you, Casey. How can spatial computing aid in the creation of more effective educational tools and environments? And I think Patrick mentioned something to do with this, but you can add something to that.
Yeah, I think this is another really exciting area. It's an area that is really special to me. I mean, I'm working with some people right now, and I think it's really all about, we know we can use these tools to be able to aid and have these immersive, interactive experiences that are so much better for learning for so many people, especially our kids. And I think, with these, being able to allow people to explore complex concepts, which we've never been able to do before. Healthcare, medical is using a lot of these. We're using them in training and simulation. But one place that I really love is being able to use these things to help people learn and access areas that don't have the opportunity for some of the learning and the educational opportunities that we have now. And with this kind of stuff, with Spatial, it really opens the doors for, it doesn't matter if you come from a real small rural area, what part of the world, that these are going to open it up to be able to give these people these educational experiences like never before. And I think, from a standpoint of reaching people, not just giving them this more immersive experience, but reaching more people that don't have that opportunity is really a great opportunity here for this.
Okay, I want to build up an argument on that part. We say spatial computing XR is good for education and all that, but is it accessible? I want to build a case on this. How accessible are these tools? I come from a continent where even some parts of the continent don't have access to internet. Yet we're saying that these tools can help us advance our education. So I'm left with a conundrum here, or a question. Is it going to help advance the education of those who already have it, or is it also going to help advance the education of those who don't have even access to textbooks and good classrooms? Someone help me with this question, because it's something I want to pick up debate on. Alan, I see you nodding. Please help me.
Yes, I think some of the gentlemen here with us today are part of kind of what Vikrant is doing, is making these experiences available, by rendering them in a way that's more efficient and more easily accessible with mobile phones, or places that still have infrastructure like 3G still and stuff like that. And so our design, the way we designed our headsets is using VR, Google, and we designed it so that a refugee would be able to walk to a Wi-Fi tower and download the app, but still be able to use the app without Wi-Fi. So it really has to do with good design, because the infrastructure, as you might see in Latin America where I grew up, or for instance, I lived in Italy. I lived in the Italian countryside, it would take 6 months to get a phone hooked up at your house, right, in your villa, or longer. But what happened is that they didn't build the infrastructure. So mobile phones came and you leaped over that development cycle, right? And you see that in a lot of Latin America and Africa, in places where you didn't build that huge amount of infrastructure for telephones, but you didn't have to, because mobile phones ended up coming in and being able to surpass that and make it accessible for people. So I think we have something similar happening around the world, in places where you'll be able to get internet in some manner or another through, satellites, and then be able to access it at with very low power mobile phones, not the most newest mobile phones, and be able to access educational material that way. And so we work right now with some people to download surgery training through your mobile phone using our headset. We train rural doctors on how to keep up with their training. And this is going to have a life-saving quality, because a rural doctor is pretty much a MacGyver, right? You know MacGyver? So a rural doctor is going to save you no matter what he has to do. If he has to put a hose in you and make stuff up to save you, he's going to do it. So having these doctors be up to date with the most recent training on a hernia repair, on just other different types of surgeries, is a godsend. And so I think the tools are there. It's just a design problem. You need people to design properly and be able to use existing infrastructure in the most efficient manner.
Wow, thank you for highlighting that. The design is the problem, actually. And Vic, I want to come to you, because I want to follow up on what Alan has said. The design is the problem. What future developments in spatial computing could dramatically change humanitarian efforts? Are we going to expect better designs accessible for all? Please let us know.
Sure. So one is obviously 5G. The availability of high-speed data across places unlocks so many possibilities, not just in terms of being able to bring in more people to access more immersive content, but also for capturing devices to capture and stream content extremely fast. What if your GIS modeling, your global information system modeling, could happen in real time, right? If there is a disaster, if there is a fire outbreak or anything, you can actually map it in real time to forecast and understand how you're going to sort of fight it out. Similarly, other technologies obviously include the possibilities of having sensors like LiDAR sensor and similar capturing hardware being omnipresent on all devices. It becomes so accessible, so cheap that a normal person like me or you can actually contribute to a 3D spatial version creation of the world using our smartphones. We can create spaces where we can invite others to join us in a immersive way. The role of technology is either to reduce distance or save time. So as long as there are technologies that are enabling spatial computers to do it, I think the technology has a lot of potential that could actually generate substantial value in the future.
Okay, brilliant. Casey, do you want to add something on that?
I say one of the areas I'm really excited about when it comes to this is how much more advanced wearables are becoming. I was at a wearables conference last year, and I was in awe of how far we've come with a lot of these things. And these are going to open the game where you're going to be able to have a lot of real-time type instruction and data overlays and things that even local communities can use to monitor and deal with crisis and things. So I think, and it just makes it so much more adaptable to so many things. I think, yeah, we have to get the pricing down on, some of them like watches and things are coming down, but man, the advancements in clothing and different things that are going to make this totally so much more of a fluid way to be able to interact and utilize some of these technologies. I think it's really important. And the fact that using those connected to IoT, connected to, immersive experiences where we can track things is just going to be a total game changer. And I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things in the next couple of years with things can be a lot more accessible in those areas.
We also saw that Microsoft announced that they were bringing, AI chip inside their products. So it means that AI will be on the edge, and so you will not need to rely as much as on the communication, which can be a problem in some countries. So when you have these devices, with on the edge, you have the knowledge on the edge that can be used offline at any time.
Also, the wearables, they themselves would be able to capture so much data from individuals. All your vitals are if they're being captured and they can be shared using your wearables, you get immediate access or immediate emergency access to whenever you need it.
Definitely, I'm very excited for the future. And ethics. Can you just follow up on what the previous panel had talked about? And for our particular panel, perhaps you're going to give them strategies on how to employ ethical spatial computing in sensitive areas. And this I want to hear from each and every one of you. I will start with you, Patrick. Tell me what you think about ethics and what are the strategies to employ.
So yes, ethics in our case, it's, we are dealing with emotions, and emotions are very unique per person and very private. That's really privacy. How you feel should be the most private things. And so we don't keep simply any data from the user experience. In the case of we power an NPC or a hardware with an emotional state. It will gather information. We will memorize what he has experienced, but we are not going to memorize why he experienced this. So actually, we simply don't keep any personal information about the human. What we keep is about building the emotional memories of the device or the NPC. We develop that. We can develop a persona for them, but we are not gathering personal information from the user about his interaction with this device. So we are really, really careful on that. I remember that even at the very beginning, I was imagining our technology like a chip, embedded chip, just to keep this really completely on the edge and not gathering information. So I think privacy is going to be a big problem, but we see, unfortunately, people are giving away their privacy in exchange of the services everywhere. We always talk about privacy, but at the end, even the user, you can bring all the warning about what you're doing with the data and the little footprint. At the end, the user wants the experience because the experience is addictive, and it will give away his privacy. And this is where maybe something should be done.
Yeah, definitely. I agree on that, especially on the user. The user end, most of the users don't want to read the privacy terms. They're so long, they don't understand, so they just agree and they want to use the platform. And also, I have learned something from you. Don't take the data, just keep the required information that is needed. Casey, tell me, what do you think about ethics?
Well, I think it really, we've put ourselves in, we haven't, but our society's put us in a bad position over the last several years, and I think we have to make up for that with users and customers. And I think we have to be even more transparent. We have to educate people. I think educating people on what's happening to this data, how it's being used, being transparent about that, I think is really key. And then they can make the decision then on if the usage outweighs what they want to do. But I think we just have to really be a lot more open about it and put it out front and go with it that way. I mean, there's so many cool things we can do with things like computer vision by, think of, if we're distributing food at a refugee camp and being able to use computer vision to recognize people and who's been fed and different things and get data. Those things are amazing, but I think when it comes to standard users, especially, we've got to earn things back a little bit. And even though it wasn't maybe some of our faults here, we got to earn things back, and we've got to be a lot more upfront with our people and let them choose how they want to do it.
Wow,
Just would like to add a little thing, if it's possible. I mean, AI have an incredible knowledge, but what they're lacking is the human experience. They can't experience the world. Only human can do that for AI. And I think that's an incredible value, and we shouldn't give that away to AI. We should monetize that as a user. So get a revenue stream from it. I mean, if they take the data from our experience to learn and get better, we are part of their training, and we should be paid for that. I think that's a fundamental model where actually human could get, AI is going to take a lot of jobs. It's going to create a new society, and we need to find new business model here. So that's one possible idea. We have an incredible leverage on AI here. We are the thing that experience for them.
Wow, definitely. If you're an audience here, you are the prize. You are the ultimate determinant here. We need to start demanding for our pay when it comes to our data. Alan, please tell us your thoughts on strategy.
Yes, regarding your question on ethical use of spatial computing, I think it says in sensitive areas. So we have a product for refugees, and these refugees, many of them are being persecuted. So we made sure that we didn't request their names, age. We don't collect data on the apps as well. We don't even have interfaces in our apps. So each experience is one little app. But we also did other ethical practices in our product. Like around the world, you're not allowed to advertise to children. So I have to kind of say this when I'm with American audiences. It's like the rest of the world is not, it's illegal to advertise to children. And so here, when then people show up in the US are like, what's going on here? And so we don't. Our focus of our product is for women, specifically mothers, because they're the ones who bring innovations into the tent, into the refugee family. But we also have the highest kind of request for standards of use of this product. So we recommend on the back the use of it be anybody over 18 should be under guidance of an adult. You should never go over 30 minutes of one-time use of VR. And I know all these companies, VR companies, are like, the hell with it, you can spend hours in there, but 30 minutes is a recommended amount. Beyond that, you start losing a sense of reality. And so we did different steps and precautions, mostly seeing it from the perspective of refugees and their requests and their demands. And our product is kind of designed around them. So ethics-wise, the content of our product is we put products for safety. So we have earbuds, headset, backpack, bandana in case if they twist their ankle. So we have multiple use products based on their needs. But ethics is, and their protection, specifically their identity, is a primal important because a lot of them are persecuted. But yeah, it was basically a product design is an ethical journey for us, and in answering to the needs of people who are most in need. Thank you.
Wow, I love that you have highlighted you should not advertise to children. And that is very brilliant. And you're very practical with what you're doing. And you are open, as Casey had stated. We must be open and transparent with our user. Vikrant, I want to hear from you. What is your ethical strategies?
So, I mean, one of the biggest challenges or scenarios to consider for the future is for large scale platforms. What the social media of today is. These are the platforms which would have hundreds of millions of users, and by design in spatial computing, people would be spending much more time as compared to what they spend on social media today, and they'll give much more exposure in terms of data. Not that is not just limited to their likes, dislikes, the kind of channel or people they follow, but their own personal data in terms of their location, what kind of things they're doing in the metaverse space. So probably having decentralized platforms where the data is not owned by a central entity, or the platforms are not owned by large corporations, is one of the things the world should try to build on. It's kind of difficult because the ability to rapidly innovate in a centralized institution and centralized company would always outpace that of a decentralized one because of obvious reasons. But yes, that is one. And apart from that, as a platform having open data policies, that allow public scrutiny and foster trust. So that ensures that data sources, methods, and usage are transparent. Ethical audits, from external third parties. So that is something I think it could help keep these platforms sane. And along with this, the ability to offer people to exercise anonymity. As they say, people come to the metaverse for what they can see, but they stay there for what they can be. If people are anonymous, you can skip a lot of hate, racial abuse, or any damage or abuse they would have faced, because people don't know where they're from, what their age is, what their gender is. They could use avatars and truly express themselves without having to worry about the repercussions.
Yeah, definitely. I think you are merging Web3 and spatial computing. That is equals privacy and decentralization. Casey, I want to hear from you. You're very big on business solutions and scaling, and I want to know, how can spatial computing enhance real-time collaboration across different regions?
Yeah, so well, it's that's one of the major use cases that's been happening. I think it can open the door to working on projects anywhere. But I think what we have to look at is we tend to get excited in this industry and we roll things out, we throw things out there, and just because it's cool to have a virtual meeting space doesn't mean that it's actually efficient. And that sometimes jumping on a Zoom or a G-Meet or something is going to be more efficient and easier to use than going into a space. I know in the beginning I was in them all the time, and getting people in them was always the problem, that there weren't in our industry. But it's going to get there. I think for anything where we're talking about 3D simulation, we're talking about digital twins, where people are working on projects where they're actually viewing complex items and being able to work on them together. In the auto industry, in the medical industry, they're already doing a lot of this. And I think it's so valuable to be able to do that and much more efficient way to learn, and through the education side of it as well, right? But I think, again, we always have to look at, is this solving a pain? Is this something that is going to make things more efficient? And I think that's what we need to focus a lot of these solutions, especially with collaboration. But I think just because it's cool doesn't always mean that it's what need to be done. But there are plenty of areas where I think collaboration is doing so well when it comes to and helping companies be a lot more efficient when it comes to this stuff. But I always look at the thing as, what's the pain, what's the problem to solve, and is it going to help today versus 5 years from now? And I think a lot of these tools like this, that's what we have to look at. It's very use case specific when it comes to things.
Well, brilliant. I love that. Patrick, perhaps you want to add something on that?
No, I really think that when we see all the work that is done, when you can collaborate and work on a patient with different doctor who can do an operation on the same body, that's something impressive. So here it really solves a problem, because you have people with different skills who are spread all around the world, and they need to work on a local body, a physical body in one location. And that solves a problem, an immediate problem. But I agree with Casey. I mean, a lot of time jumping in a Zoom call will be probably more efficient. And we see that now you have even your co-pilot assisting you in the Zoom call. So AI can suddenly jump in, and you can have your assistant that is your AI. You can talk to your assistant and say, can you help to reply to that question? And the AI will assist you. So here you have things that doesn't need actually XR, but are really giving a solution to a problem. So I think it's a mix of both. And I also think that when the hardware will be smaller, like I said, there's this thing from Stanford. I mean, when you're going to have like glasses like the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, but that will add XR to it with AI combined, and this could come actually rapidly. I mean, in 2 years' time, we could start to have a product like this. I think this will solve a lot of problems and make this technology available to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant. On to our final question. We only have much time. We would have spent so much time discussing a lot of issues here and solving problems here and there. But I want to go to you, Alan. How can spatial computing assist in creating more equitable access to information and resources? I totally understand you're working with very vulnerable communities, and perhaps you have a lot of experiences in this. Please tell us your thoughts.
Yes, that's a great question on creating equitable access. And I think there's some new innovations right now that are kind of what everybody was wishing for. A lot of people are wishing for this decentralized model. And so we actually have that now. A lot of the way the Chinese are selling products, AI in a box, means that you have AI in your house. And it's an internal AI. NVIDIA, if you check your computer right now, if you have a certain NVIDIA model in your computer, you can have an AI chat that just works internally within your computer. And so it's not a matter of, sometimes equity has to do with pushing back against these American corporations that govern the cloud and hope that we will all be paying into that cloud. But AI in a box is a model that pushes back against that and allows you to have it in your own house contained and without outside influence or commercials. So I think, sorry, just to answer the question of decentralized, which kind of pushes back and probably gives competition to cloud charges, we should have a reduction in price point across the board, and making it more accessible in that way. But it's still a challenge, equitable here in the United States. When we had the pandemic, you had loads of children, millions of children across the country didn't have access to the internet at home, didn't have a tablet, didn't have a Google Chromebook. And so we have that very distinct and acute problem in this country with all the infrastructure and all the money we have. So it is a challenge around the world. And I think it'll be a matter of time and competition and having different models and different approaches to be able to have greater and equitable access.
Definitely. I see our time is winding up. I want to hear closing remarks from each and every one of you. Please be brief. I will start with you, Patrick. Take the shortest time as possible.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me, and it shows us how much work we have to do to make this technology available to everybody in the world at a low cost. I think sharing this technology with the world is the most important thing, and to do that, we need to reduce the cost. So, well, we still have a lot of work in front of us.
Casey.
Yeah,
Casey.
I think we have a ways to go, right? We have some technology things we've got to deal with. We have some infrastructure things we've got to deal with. I think we're on the right track, especially with giving more access. But we always have more work to do. And but I think one thing that I really look towards is, over the past, since COVID and everything, we've sort of, and even with social media, that, it helps us connect with more people, but then there's the other side of it that, what kind of connections are those? And I think, I really think we have a chance with some of this to really drive stronger, more resilient connections and communities and people and understanding each other. I think, the portal thing they did in New York and Dublin sort of went the wrong way because of some people acting a little nutty. But I think, the idea of using these tools to be able to bring us together in a time where we're so far apart in many ways, either in our own country or in the U.S. or across other countries. And I think this can give us a chance to really, if we're looking at an optimistic side, to be able to be more human-centric and start creating a connected and empathetic world. So that's sort of on the 30,000-foot view.
Alan, quick.
Yes, thank you. I guess in the humanitarian context, AI is going to make whatever existing infrastructure we have much more efficient. And that's the great thing about AI, and hopefully we'll have less deaths and people will be protected a little bit better. Thank you.
Vic, close us off.
Yeah. I think what the future holds with spatial computing in terms of social interactions is much better than what we have today. As compared to the current form of social media where we consume excerpts from people's life, we would actually be present in the moment with them, doing things that we love to do together with the people we like. And that is a much more natural interaction for people to do rather than, just consuming the best of the world or the worst of the world in the form of small bits.
Okay,
So
thank you so much. Right. Thank you so much. We only have much time. Let's create room for the next fireside chat or panel. My name is Lingetao. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to have you back again. And our audience, please feel free to interact with our audience, our panelists. Thank you so much. May our gather be well. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.